Some girls get things easy. I'm not one of those girls. I've never just looked at a boy for him to come over and talk to me. I've never gotten a discount on an item, even if it was damaged. Never been told to go to the front of a line outside a club. I've never been offered a seat on a full bus by a stranger. I work for what I get. I either work or I beg. That's why I was surprised when I got Billy. No, Billy is not a boy. And it's not a puppy. Billy is my best friend, and I got her easily. I simply moved into the apartment above hers, and we used to leave at the same time for college, so we'd bump into each other. It's not often that two girls in college meet each other at home. Most of them meet at res or in class, but we didn't leave home to study, so we were different. We take the bus together and get off at the same stop, so it was only a matter of time before we started talking. And when we did, we never stopped. On our second meeting, we decided to skip our first class and get coffee, and we talked on a little bench outside the main building about school, work, parents, men, other girls, pop stars, fashion, art, TV shows, the like. And so we figured out we wanted to be friends. And on most days we take the bus early and get coffee in the cafe before class and get to know each other, which soon became checking in on each other and catching up. Easy. I invited her over for dinner at my flat, and we'd study our different subjects together. There was no competition. It was easy. She would invite me to her flat too, where her mother, a single mother, would order us pizza, and then we'd watch rom-coms with bowls of ice cream. Easy. Billy had things easy. Her dad was rich. She had a tutor and got spending money, so she quit her job when her boss became mean. She still survived. I had to pay for my own transport and chip in for groceries, but Billy bought bags and shoes and got tattoos done, so she let me in on it, the easy life. When she bought a bag, she'd buy me a phone case or toiletry bag. When she bought shoes, she'd get me a voucher. We got matching tattoos of 4-leaf clovers on our wrists for good luck. Then we got keys on our torsos the year we both turned 21. You were 2 peas in a pod. Easy peasy. And then we were 3. Billy got a boyfriend, Hammer. Hammer was short for Hamish, a name that made him sound cool like a blue-collar guy from a movie. He was as rough-looking as his name suggested, and occasionally did meth and took shrooms. I never got a chance to like the guy between his less-than-perfect manners and taking hours away from me hanging out with my friend. Billy, on the other hand, was infatuated, and even when he messed around with other girls a few months down the line, wouldn't let him go. He invited us to parties with his friends, dingy hangouts where we would talk about the same topics for hours because they were drunk on spirits and high on meth. I couldn't tell if Billy was using or not, and she was probably trying to hide it from me if she was. She did get drunk though, and I did, and would end up throwing up in the middle of the night, so I started taking it easy. I'd be the one most sober, and I'd watch them, laughing at his silly jokes, bobbing their heads to mediocre music, trying to be cool.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't take it anymore. I decided that if I wanted Billy, I'd have to get rid of Hammer, or I'd lose her to him entirely. I found his meth on the table. He had loads of it at a time, so it was easy to take about half of it. "Guys, look at the moon," I said. "Wouldn't it be nice to make out under the moon and the stars and take a photo to remember this night?" "That's a great idea," Hammer said, and led Billy outside to do as I suggested. She took his hand and followed him, and when they were both outside, I poured a bunch of meth into his drink. Then he came back, took sips of his drink as I watched. His eyes started darting. He started talking faster, then sat down. He couldn't taste it because his drink was so strong. He got thirstier and thirstier by the minute. Billy came over and kissed him. He kept drinking, offered to refill his drink, and he obliged. Leaning his head back into the chair, I took some more meth and put it into his drink, stirred, cleaned the teaspoon, gave him his drink. He sat and drank it for 30 minutes, and then 20 minutes later he started gasping for air. I bet his heart was beating at twice its speed. He leaned back in his chair and gasped and convulsed. He was dying. I looked at Billy, who was drunkenly panicking. I pretended to be confused. "Hasn't this happened before?" I asked. "No!" she shrieked. His friends were scattered around the house. They were doing lines of meth and too high to care. I knew they wouldn't call the emergency services to avoid being questioned about their drug use. So it was up to Billy and I. Billy thought she could stop what was going on with Hammer. She was fussing with him and not calling the ambulance. Then it happened. He stopped moving. He was dead. I let him go because Billy couldn't. I went over to Billy, who was sobbing, and held her close in a hug. She was so sad, but I was relieved. Luckily, Hammer had finished his drink, so there wasn't any trace of it. I'd do the dishes, as I always did, while the ambulance were on their way, and Hammer's death would be ruled an overdose. Of all things, I'd gotten easy until this point. The bags, the jewelry, memorable ink. Billy was the most important. She was at the center of it. I had to have her back, and maybe I was crazy, but the easy life was nice. And our lives would go on. Our lives would be easy. The end of Hammer's life was easy. She would get another boyfriend, a better one, and our lives would go on, like I said. Easy peasy. The end.